The San Jose Sharks signed Filip Zadina today to a one-year deal. I'm going to explain why this is a perfect contract for the Sharks and why they might be buying low on a player who's about ready to explode on today's episode of Locked On Sharks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now and Inside the Rink, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly a part of the Locked On Network, where we cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you gotta do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch this on YouTube as well. And the Sharks did it. They did what we had hoped for, signing Filip Zadina. Mike Grier looking just in his bag, right? Last week I made the argument they should claim Filip Zadina and his 2-year, $1.8 million contract. And Mike Grier said, no. I'm going to get him cheaper. Getting Zadina to sign a 1-year, $1.1 million deal, and you still have his RFA rights. So if Zadina has an awesome year, you still have his rights, and you can sign him again next year, figure out a new contract next year. This Mike Grier just in his bag this offseason, acquiring Anthony Duclair, knocking out of the park with the draft, just all the smart signings that he's done, low risk, high reward contracts that he's done to help fill some holes for this team as you're getting ready to start to see some of your prospects enter into the system. And with Zadina, so I did last week a whole kind of breakdown of Zadina, and I'm going to I'll go quickly through kind of what the Sharks are getting with him, but today's episode really want to spend why I think he's going to be set up for better success here and what his kind of fit and role with the Sharks is. So let's start though by going into kind of the quick background of Zadina. So remember, Zadina was a 2018 sixth overall pick. And he has struggled in the NHL throughout his career, hasn't really been able to kind of find that consistency or that shot that he was known for coming, when entering the draft, right? He was expected to be an elite scoring winger, and he just has not panned out to that. So last year, he played 30 games, missed a good chunk of the season with a broken leg last year. Played 30 games, only had 3 goals and 4 assists during that time. 51 shots on goal, average ice time 1306, Corsi for 4801, goals for 42.11%. But is now on a 1-year, $1.1 million deal. Looking at his, again, he didn't really play much. He played less than 400 minutes last year, which is not a lot, right? Playing kind of that second line role for the Red Wings last year. Offense, it was creating expected goals, just wasn't seeing the goals go in. Did an okay job defensively, which is, at least something you can kind of fall back on there. Power play 2 type of minutes. So looking at his WARs, his wins above replacement from our friend over at Patrick Bacon, who kind of does this, and JFresh makes the graphs for him. So 44 percentile WAR, even strength offense, 82 percentile even strength offense, even strength defense. So WAR is wins above replacement. This is a fancy way of looking, how are you contributing type of thing. So are you a winning type of player? And he has slowly but surely become a better and better player. And remember, he's 23. He'll be 24 for next season. This is a former 6th overall pick, right? Good job creating, with his penalties, like drawing penalties and not taking penalties. Like you can see you can see some stuff there, right? Looking at his athletic card, again, little, his defensive usage was pretty solid. Offensively, again, you're not seeing the goals that you would expect, especially like his expected goals. His expected goals were solid. He just wasn't scoring, which kind of the Noah Gregor thing, right? You can see it there, but not scoring in what you would expect. So, and then if you go way back to his draft, NHL probability 53%. When he was drafted, 25 percentile being a star. So from Byron Bader, reminder: 20 star producer as a forward is a career average of 0.7 points per game, and then an NHLer is somebody who plays 200 plus games. He will be an NHLer. He's already played like 160 games or something like that. He's an NHLer. This part of his career. So just a quick reminder of what kind of Filip Zadina's past. If you want to I go a little bit more in detail in the episode I did last week. But this is, like I said before, this is the perfect buy low type of candidate Mike Grier has added, right? A player who you can tell did not fit with the Red Wings, right? Missed a good chunk of the season last year, never really kind of stood up to his draft status, and even before then was never really was able to kind of figure things out for him. And this is the type of player you take a swing on where it's 1 year at $1.1 million. That is a great contract for a player who is a former 6th overall pick. And if he plays well, again, he is an RFA. You own his rights into next season. So you can re-sign him. You can, if he doesn't play, you don't have to qualify him. You send him back out into the world and say, thank you for your services type of situation. But I love taking swings on it because he was a talented player who just has struggled this year, kind of struggled in the NHL. And that could be look at maybe his rushed a little bit too quickly. Again, he, going back to pulling up his elite prospects page, he kind of didn't really play as many. I know, you kind of see these guys, especially first round picks. He played one after he got drafted, played 1 year in the queue. And then he played a year with the Grand Rapids. And he got in the 18-19 season, played a year with the Grand Rapids, the AHL team. And then the 1920 season kind of split his time between the Grand Rapids and the Red Wings. And then has basically been an NHL player with the exception. He played 2 games with the Grand Rapids last season. I think when he was coming back from his injury. But, his has not scored more than 24 points in a season. He's only had 10 goals in a season once. Like, I get it, right? There's definitely the scoring isn't what you would expect for a player like this. But again, I think for Mike Grier, it costs you nothing other than a contract at $1 million. And I think he's still a talented player who just may not have put in the best position to succeed. So before we get into why I think he's going to be put in a better position to succeed and kind of where he fits with the Sharks and I think what his projected role is, do need to take a quick break, talk to you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. And I know baseball right now is, of course, during its All-Star game. So it's that weird time of season where there's just not as much things to bet on, but you can actually still bet on baseball. You can bet on the All-Star game. And then baseball will be right back coming up this weekend. So plenty of good stuff to bet on. Or you got Summer League if you're really, really, really into that. But baseball, if you want to take your first swing at betting baseball, betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount and bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20. You land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend on betting everything from the money line, the over-under, who you think is going to hit the first home run, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get $200 on bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. All right. I don't think that Filip Zadina was put in the best possible position to succeed. This is going to go a little team building theory, right? And I hear, well, I'll say that. So Filip Zadina has played with not great centers, and Filip Zadina is a scoring winger who needs to play with a good center. If that, I went on Dauber's Frozen Tools. They do this great thing where you can actually go every season. You can look at the line, like kind of the lines and who was your most common teammate, right? So I pulled up the 22-23 season, which was last year. And again, I know he only played 30 games last year. Filip Zadina's the most common line he was on for 73 minutes of the season. Oscar Sundqvist, Pius Suter, Filip Zadina. Ugh. Cool. All right. And that's at even strength. Going back to the 21-22 season, okay, year before, Filip Zadina's most common teammates, he played 150 minutes with them. Robbie Fabry, Pius Suter, Filip Zadina. And then at 150, and then 120 minutes with Adam Ernie, Michael Rasmussen, and Filip Zadina. Michael Rasmussen, of course, was drafted the year before in 2017. All right. Even looking at some other ones, his next one was Jacob Vrana, Pius Suter, Filip Zadina. So you're noticing a trend here, right? A lot of Pius Suter. I like Pius Suter. Pius Suter is a quality center. All right. Going back to the 2021 regular season, the weird bubble season. Okay. So he played with Sam Gagner and Vladislav Nestepsik. Why do I struggle with that? I practiced before. Anyway, he also played Robbie Fabry, Dylan Larkin, and Filip Zadina. Dylan Larkin, an amazing center, first line center. Would love to have a Dylan Larkin on my team. He played 61 minutes with him, right? With that line. Also played 35 minutes with Dylan Larkin, Anthony Mantha, and Filip Zadina. Also played with Robbie Fab. So the point being, if he plays with a top six role, which we expect, right? You look at the Sharks forwards going into this season, and guys you can pencil in the top six. Tomas Hertl, yep. Logan Couture, check. Alexander Barabanov, William Eklund, Anthony Duclair. Okay, like there's 5, right? So if Zadina plays with Hertl or Couture for a good chunk of the season, which we expect him to kind of do, is that the best center? Is Couture and Hertl better than Pius Suter? Yeah, I would easily say so. Again, Pius Suter, nothing against Pius Suter. He's a perfect, he's a good third line type of center. Good bottom six type of guy who can, provide some defense for you. He's not generating and making plays for you. Tomas Hertl, playmaker, right? We know Hertl can carry the puck in the zone. We know he can use his size and his skill and help find his teammates, right? We saw Hertl become a distributor to Timo Meier last season. Timo Meier had a career year before getting traded. I know Hertl said he probably distributed a little bit too much, but right, there's a fine balance there. But we know Hertl is a 1C, okay? Logan Couture, great season last year, especially with Alexander Barabanov, right? That line, if they keep them together, Barabanov's ability to pass, find open teammates. Couture kind of being that crafty veteran center. Still played really, really well last season, especially those two guys together. Filip Zadina, all you got to do is hang out with those guys and then shoot the puck. I think Zadina is going to be put in a much better place to succeed because he's going to have a better center than what he's had for a majority of his career, right? I know he's played some time with Dylan Larkin, but Dylan Larkin was still trying to establish himself, and he's still at the time was pretty young, kind of in early 20s. Now he's in his mid 20s. I think it's tough when you have a bunch of young guys like that trying to kind of figure things out. And I think this goes back to Mike Grier's thing of not wanting to kind of burn the whole thing down and having veterans around, guys like Tomas Hertl and Logan Couture, to lead the way, because it puts your younger players in a better position to succeed, where they're not trying to kind of figure things out all at once. Having a guy like Hertl, who's an established veteran, who's played in big games, is a 1C on basically 75% of the league, right? Tomas Hertl he's a 1C. Okay, having a guy like that to play as a 1C, and then you can have, if you want to have Zadina, a good Czech friend with you, where Hertl can kind of do the work, and then Zadina can help capitalize and finish plays. That seems like a good fit for me. And again, it goes down to having these guys who can help these young players learn how to become NHL players. So that way they're not trying to, if you have three young guys out there on a line together and none of them know what they're going to do, what they're doing, it kind of becomes this big scramble drill, and then they're going to make mistakes, right? And then the coach isn't going to trust them to throw them back out there, and then they're going to kind of get benched, and you're never going to learn that way. And I think having some established players on your team, whether it's Couture, Hertl, or even Nico Sturm, that Zadina can play with and kind of grow with and reestablish his confidence. I think that's a huge thing, right? Can you imagine coming in as a 6th pick? You think you're going to be a great player, and look at the career he's had so far, whether it's been hampered with injuries or whatever it's been, again, having to play with a guy like, no offense to Pius Suter, but I don't think he was put in the best position to succeed. And I think now with a new team, fresh expectations, and a good centerman to play with, and if he's playing with Barabanov, like if you have a top line of Eklund, Hertl, Duclair, and then a second line of Barabanov, Couture, Zadina, or however you want to mix it up, like that he's going to have better teammates, or at least centermen, who can help than what he's had in the past couple of years. And I think that's going to do wonders for him to kind of help him reestablish his confidence. So before we kind of continue to look at where he fits, kind of project the future a little bit for him, and again, talk about the Sharks have his rights type of thing. So do want to take a quick break. Thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Again, proudly a part of the Locked On Network, where we cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you gotta do is just follow along, subscribe on YouTube. Tomorrow we will talk about the power play. We're supposed to do it today, but of course wanted to talk about Filip Zadina. So tomorrow we'll talk about the power play. I've got a guest lined up that'll be on Thursday's show. And then we'll, continue to figure things out for the rest of the week. Got another nice interview planned for you guys next week as well. So again, make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. All right. So where does he fit, right? And I think he's projecting to be a top 6 role. And I think it puts guys like Jacob Peterson, who had a really nice, strong end of the season, if playing on your third line, Luke Cunnin, probably, coming back from injury, playing on your third line. I think it kind of puts everyone a little bit more where they need to be. And for the Sharks too, this also gives another potential power play guy, right? If you want to have like Duclair on your power play 1 and then Zadina on your power play 2, which the power play 2 last year, of course, if you guys know, was basically whatever warm bodies that they could get on the ice to allow Hertl, Couture, Carlson, not even Carlson played a bajillion power play minutes, but allow the other guys to kind of catch their breath for a little bit. I think you're going to potentially see a little bit more balanced power plays. Now if Kevin Labanc sticks around, you have a power play 2 unit that could be, Cunnin, Jacob Peterson, Zadina, right? Like you have a couple more like actual like legitimate scoring options on your second power play. Barabanov, right? Depending on how they want to kind of split up, but the power play 2 is going to be have a little bit more teeth to it compared to what we've seen before. And for Zadina, like I think he's going to kind of take almost like the Anthony Duclair type of role. I think Duclair is a great person for him to learn from. Just like being that guy who can kind of shoot the puck type of thing. I know Zadina can shoot. Like you don't go through, his draft and all that without knowing how to shoot and then just totally forgetting how to do it. And I think, again, like I said in the previous segment, having playing with a guy like Hertl, playing with a guy like Logan Couture, I think is going to do wonders for him to just help reestablish his confidence, right? Couture, who's seen it and done it all, like Hertl, who's seen it and done it all. And I think he's going to be set up for a huge rebound type of season for him. And, like penalty kill, I don't know if we'll see. I think he could be a potential, like you kind of put him in it a little bit and let him learn how, to kind of be a penalty killer. I think he's got the skills to do it. And then there's a potential shorthanded threat, which the Sharks have not had the past couple seasons. But I think focusing on that offense and trying to figure out what he does best and put him in a position to succeed and do that is where I think David Quinn's going to do that with him, right? And especially because they don't really have any other options, right? If it's, we know they're going to be patient with guys like Gushin and Robbins, and, and you don't expect to see Beasted, and like you don't expect to see a bunch of these guys. I think it's going to be Zadina's going to get an opportunity for a bit of a run here where they can, let him get acclimated with his new line mates and prove why he was a 6 overall type of pick. So going forward, again, I think for him, again, he's 23, right? Like he doesn't turn 24 until November. So he's still really, really young. I think if he has a good season, I think you can just you can sign him to an extension. I think it's either he signs with an extension or he's a free agent. Like I don't see Mike Grier kind of trading him at the trade deadline unless you get overwhelmed by something. But he's young enough to where he can fit in with your Bordelots, your Eklunds, your Smiths, your Musties. Like he's still young enough where he can fit in with that core, and he can be a core piece if he proves that, hey, like there's if he can prove it this season. So again, I can't express how much I love this signing by Mike Grier. Continuing to churn the roster, turn over every rock, turn over every acorn to try to find some guys who can potentially be pieces for you in the future. And I think Filip Zadina has a chance to look like one of those, like, what did the Red Wings do type of situation. And the Red Wings, they are better today than they were last week with the addition of Alex DeBrincat. But I think for the Sharks, who are in that roster churning phase, who try to find good, talented players who fit their system, I think Zadina, it just might be one of those things where Zadina, new team, new me, and Zadina can find his game and become a Shark. And, and a couple of years from now, we can point to this as one of those building block pieces where, Zadina, Eklund, Will Smith, Musty, Mukama Dillon, who, Bordalo, Gushin, like you can start to see that's about a lot of young players, a lot of talented players. And again, Zadina is a talented player, just has not been able to find his way. So that's going to be it for me today. Again, if you want more Zadina stuff, I did an episode last week where I kind of dug into his background a little bit more, all that fun stuff. So you can go check that out as well. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the Sharks power play, especially if Erik Karlsson gets traded and who's going to run the power play. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. So Apple, Spotify. You can watch on YouTube as well. If you haven't followed on YouTube, now's the perfect time. You can still go enter in to win that Patrick Marleau replica banner. Go check out the community tab for more information on that. Follow the show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter and Threads at MyFryhole. Until tomorrow, bye, friends.